This is an open letter to Capital University, not just to the students or the administration, but also the alumni, faculty, staff, board of trustees, and anyone else who considers themselves a member of the Capital family. Or, as I shall now be referring to it, #CapFam, because Capital is so insistent on it. I'm a member of Capital's graduating class of 2013 and a member of #CapFam since 2009. I attended Capital for 4 years and made some of the best friendships I have ever had, both with my peers and with professors and other staff members at Capital. I care about Capital a great deal. It's a place I call my home, or at least a home I had for 4 years, and a family I still have right now. The fact that I care about Capital so much is the reason I'm making this video. Now here are some of my concerns. Over the last 2 weeks or so, students, alumni, faculty, and staff of Capital University have found out that some budget cuts have been made, which included laying off several employees. I don't know the exact number of employees cut, and the only numbers I've heard have been rumors and conjecture, so I'm not going to speculate on exactly how many employees were cut. One of these employees cut was the campus pastor, and this was probably the source of most of my personal frustration with the budget cuts. Capital has been affiliated with the Lutheran Church since its inception as a German Lutheran seminary in 1830 and continued after being incorporated as a university in 1850 and all the way up until this year. But now, with this position entirely eliminated from Capital University, I, along with some other members of #CapFam, wonder how we can continue to call ourselves a Lutheran university without a pastor. A pastor not only organizes important religious and worship services on campus, but provides pastoral care to its students and faculty. The pastor's job is to be a shepherd to the flock. You know, the word pastor even comes from the Latin for shepherd. The pastor leads us when we go astray spiritually. This is one position that we need. We may now have a dean of the chapel instead of a campus pastor, but these things aren't the same. The dean of the chapel may be putting together a chaplaincy corps to facilitate worship a couple of times a week on campus, but that's not what #CapFam needs. We need a pastor. We need a full-time caregiver. We need somebody we can go to find guidance and counseling when we're in need. A part-time group of volunteers may be great to facilitate worship, but it's not what we need when we're looking for guidance. When we're looking for guidance, we need to have somebody we know, somebody we trust, and a group of part-time volunteers just doesn't fit the bill. Capital needs a full-time pastor. The #CapFam needs their shepherd. Here, I ask everybody in the family to consider this and join me in asking Capital's administration to bring this position back for the good of the university. In response to the cuts as a whole, I'll mention my own frustrations, caused by other students' observations. And I have to ask why the cuts that were made were chosen while other things were spared. I hate to be the person who accuses those people whose job it is to make these decisions of making a bad choice when we have trusted you to make these decisions. However, I think if we continue with our #CapFam family mentality, the members of this family deserve to know and understand why these decisions were made. Why were certain people who've been with the university for years let go, while some who've just been hired get to stay on? Why are we making seemingly unnecessary cosmetic renovations to the campus center when we have this budget crisis? Especially with the elimination of the campus pastor, a well-loved figure, and as I have mentioned before, a very important figure on this campus. Why, of all the employees of this university, was she let go and her position eliminated entirely? I ask not to simply have an argument with the administration, but to fully understand the reasons behind this decision. All I personally desire is to have a dialogue on the subject. I ask that the administration, the de facto leaders, and parents of the CapFam have a conversation with the students, alumni, and employees about the cuts. Not so we can have an angry argument or conversation, but so we can reach an understanding. It is in dialogue that we will reach an understanding, and understanding will lead to stronger relationships between students and the administration. And strong relationships lead to a family's prosperity. And now, to address the students directly, let's talk about the story we heard this week about the $600,000 Bernlohr Stadium improvements. Some of us are angry that we're doing $600 worth of seemingly unnecessary additions of lights and a sound system to the stadium, while some of us are mad at the residents of Bexley, where Capital makes its home, who are doing what they can to stop the improvements from being built. All I can say is that, again, we need to open up a dialogue with all parties involved. I think the administration needs to discuss the money issues with the students who are angry about $600,000 that could go to paying for professors or student programs, but we do know that that money came from donations specifically for the improvement of the stadium, and we can't go back on that deal with those donors. But we need to discuss why this money is going to this project and how it's going to benefit us as a university. And then we need to have a dialogue with the residents of Bexley. Capital students may make Bexley their home for 4 or so years, but then they move on. Most Bexley residents who live near Capital have lived there for many years and will live there for years to come. Bexley may benefit from having students in the city economically, but what do they benefit from having lights and a sound system on this stadium? Students of Capital who have expressed their displeasure on Facebook, remember to put yourself in their shoes. As a grown person with a family and responsibilities, would you want bright lights coming through your windows at 10 p.m.? Would you want loud music disrupting your quiet evening with your family? We may be young, staying up to the wee hours of the night, but the residents of Bexley are generally older than us and have jobs and a family and have a right to tell us that they don't want their neighborhood disrupted in this way. Luckily, we have already opened up a dialogue with the residents of Bexley through the City Planning Commission. This communication is important. As long as we calmly and politely are communicating with those around us, there's a chance we may get these improvements made. We can compromise. And if we can compromise here, maybe we can compromise other places and improve our campus in more of the ways we wanted to. Maybe we can build that new dorm we know we need for the increasing number of students who are enrolling in Capital every year. Maybe we can build another parking lot or garage that we know we desperately need at Capital's campus, but Bexley has been blocking for many years now. But those things only come after communication and understanding. I know this video has been long, but it's an important point that we need to make. We're all frustrated with the situations we find ourselves in right now as a #CapFam. But we have to have rational conversations about it instead of complaining about things on Facebook. So students, if you're angry with the administration, contact them. If you want those stadium improvements, go to a city planning meeting and explain to them why. And President Bowman, I ask that you engage in conversation with the Capital family. I respect what you've done for this university, but I think I speak for many members of this family when I say that we just want to talk to you and to understand what we're doing at this university. Sincerely, Alex Canarum, class of 2013.